Bitcoin's most important and biggest breakout since 2016 is occurring right here, right now. Well, kind of, if we're looking at very high term timeframes. And that is the topic of today, as we're going to be looking at Bitcoin versus the money supply, also versus gold, also versus traditional markets. And you know what? It's a weekend. It's a Sunday. Very little is happening. So that's why we're going to be going over some very, very TA sort of nerdy type shit on this video. But that's all good. That's what you're here for, because that's the only people who are watching as of this moment, because Bitcoin's literally been sideways. It's literally been actually sideways, not moving much up or much down now for what seems like a couple weeks. And that is typically enough to bore all of us to hell. Anyways, before we get into it, I should still let you know that there is a sale going on in our store below, which you can get 20% off of all the programs or services with the code ABUNDANCE in all capitals. And without further ado, we can just jump on this one, starting off with that first chart of the day right here. This is Bitcoin versus the M1 money supply. What is M1 money supply? Well, it's actually several things. It is physical currency plus demand deposits, plus other checkable deposits and traveler's checks. And so what some people think is that it is a more accurate measurement of the true value of the dollar, I guess. And so it is better to be measuring, your asset versus that. I have my qualms with this, obviously. I mean, at the end of the day, this is not the chart that you trade. The chart that you trade is versus the actual dollar itself. But, it makes for some good content when things are damn boring. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Peter Brandt, because I saw him actually post about this first in the past couple days here on Twitter. He's actually one of my favorite accounts. He's just an old timer, and he reminds me of actually my trading mentor. And I've actually met him once as well. He's super, super nice. Gave me a few compliments. He's really, really cool. And it's like one of those nerdy things, like, holy shit, it's really him. But anyways, looking at this chart right here, Bitcoin versus that money supply, is Bitcoin having a major breakout? Well, technically, yes. We're seeing for the first time Bitcoin breaking out of a long-term consolidation. And the last time we saw this was April 2016, way back on over here. Now, this is a quarterly chart, obviously. And so Bitcoin has more or less been consolidating since October 2017 when it hit those highs, the 2017 bull run. And even in 2021, when Bitcoin, traditional markets, everything else in their mother was going to the moon and beyond, on this chart, it was actually rather interesting because it really just did retest that highs put in from 2017 on a closing basis and rejected from there. Now, ultimately, that rejection did lead into a higher low, as you can see right here. And on this current run, beginning from January of 2023, you can see that Bitcoin is actually now closing on higher highs, thus confirming that breakout. So if this chart is to be trusted, if you do look at this as a more accurate measurement and means of kind of accounting for, all of the different, moving parts in the money supply, well, we would deduce that this is the start of of another major run. The last one that we did see did last from the actual breakout in 2016 to the next major high. If I measure it out right here, I believe, 1 year from the breakout date, which would put us in January of 2025. If that same sort of relationship were to occur. Now, obviously it doesn't need to be exactly that, but just, something to be going off of one iteration, obviously, certainly not ideal, but it's all that we got. But it would still fit into at least the picture that I've been painting on this channel, that Bitcoin's, I do believe Bitcoin's a lot more likely to have a pretty good rest of 2024 and, late 2024 or early 2025. We very likely see the highs for this, for this cycle, kind of coinciding with the November elections as well. And I think that would catch a lot of people off guard. I think a lot of people are looking for this run to really extend deep into 2025, maybe even early 2026, because that's what other prior cycles have done. And other prior cycles have done that, but also Bitcoin hasn't made new cycle highs before they haven't before as well. So we are seeing that relationship, start to get destroyed here. Anyways, as far as this goes, we do see quarterly volatility ticking up for the first time in a very long time. Quarterly stochastic momentum actually working its way into the bullish control zone for the first time technically ever on this chart. So ultimately, I am looking at this as a legitimate breakout. You could make a measure move based upon this. That is consolidation. I'll take the more conservative of these estimates, although I don't know how much I trust it on something like this, but would suggest somewhere around whatever the hell this number represents right here. So I'll actually put on a nice horizontal ray, and we will reference this going onwards and forwards just to see does this hold true or not? If this starts to trade up into this region right here, I would start to exercise a shit ton of caution. But realistically, or to give it, some sort of a metric here to be going off of, if we were to put a measurement, towards that measured move, well, that would be close to a 350%. Great number right there. So fair enough. Does that come to fruition or not? I don't know. But at least we have something to be looking at, something to be looking for. And if things got around there, I'd be, sounding the alarms of frothiness. So what would that correlate to in terms of price action? Who the fuck knows? But again, I'm just going to put in kind of a blind alert around that region as of right now. And if it fires off, it's all over. Anyways, going onwards and forwards from there, I do want to now just kind of, Jesus, man, having some caffeine burps. I do want to get to the next chart. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin versus gold. Again, just another sort of vein to be looking at things from. If I put on my drawing tools right here, you can see that, we are seeing yet another breakout, off of a long-term uptrend. So Bitcoin bullish versus gold, but of course that means very little. Oh, there's a towboat out there in a little ship. Huh. Interesting. Wasn't expecting to see that outside my door. Sorry, getting a little bit distracted there. But yeah, back onto this chart right here. Bitcoin is bullish versus gold. So the real question is, or it doesn't really mean much unless a Bitcoin or gold, more importantly, is bullish versus the dollar. And if we go ahead and look at gold, Bitcoin always gets compared to digital gold, right? But looking at gold right here, we can see long term, this one's breaking out as well. And I expect that this one does trade higher into the end of the year. Now, short term, does it come down and play at a range here? Yeah, probably yes. We're not talking about that. I mean, this is a weekly right here. It can very easily come back down to 2,200. But long term, the breakout is real. And gold kind of has this history of having a big momentous move, breaking out, coming back down, having a very abrupt sort of retest or crash, and then continue upwards and onwards. And that's kind of exactly what we've seen right here as well, if I get it a little bit more to the T. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to check out on traditional markets. Of course, NASDAQ representing techs and in financials, although heavily weighted towards techs, I do believe, closed out the month, I would say, on a pretty damn good note. Long-term continuation still implied from here. We did have a nice pullback actually down to the daily 55, that green moving average right here this past week. Is that the extent of this current correction? Maybe. I mean, it might fish out that area a few more times, but long term, again, looking at these higher term timeframes, the trend is your friend, and it's certainly not a bullish engulfing right here, but this would be a bullish closure nonetheless. So, long term, I'm still looking for this one to continue upwards and onwards. Again, probably into the end of the year. The elections sort of relationship that we've gone over in past videos is taking precedence here. It does seem like it is happening yet again. Crazy, fucking crazy. Anyways, moving onwards and forwards from there. Let's go into this chart. Let's look at Bitcoin's weekly HPDR range. And you can see that the median has rejected price action basically 2 weeks in a row now. Assuming that Bitcoin in the next 17 hours, 5 minutes, and 44 seconds doesn't absolutely bulldoze its way past $71,000, I would be looking at this as an indication that Bitcoin is going to continue lower into this range first before trying higher later. So the picture that I'm putting together here is that long-term Bitcoin very likely trades much higher. We've gone over this in several videos, yesterday's video as well. And but in short term, do we get one more opportunity, one more swipe to the downside? I am starting to lean a little bit more towards that, especially if this week closes out something like this. Now, of course, when the next week opens later tonight, we're going to see the HPDR range for the weekly time frame shift around. When that happens, whatever the low side of that range is, wherever that comes in around, assuming that it does change, because it probably will, that's probably going to be the next major opportunity coming off of this current move. But we are seeing the underlying sort of what was the word I was going to use? I guess I could just use indicators right here. This is a bullish reset, yes, but does it test the bottom side of the 38.2 level once more before trying to get into the upside? I am kind of leaning towards that, actually. Even though we've had setups over the past week that do suggest upside is more likely than downside, That is still true. It's just we probably get one more test to the downside here, and that's probably the final test overall. Again, assuming that today doesn't close back above 71,000 bucks. So as of right now, that range low is about 62,000 bucks. I suspect that that's probably going to rise up a small amount coming into this next week. So fair enough. You know, if Bitcoin gets another attempt down there, I would be saying, you know, with multiple points of confluence, probably a major opportunity, at least a major bounce. And personal opinion is that that's going to be the next major low before the real breakout, the real trendy move to the upside. I do think June has a good probability of actually being a decently upside month. Now, I didn't plan to go into Ethereum on this particular video, but I think Ethereum illustrates this point a little bit better, actually. Well, first off, the quarterly looking pretty damn good right there, coming into this into the last month of the quarter in June. But the monthly, this is not a bullish engulfing dildo right here, but it is a strong closure nonetheless, kind of similar to NASDAQ, although certainly not as strong as NASDAQ, because this one's not on new all-time highs. But you know, for Ethereum, it does seem to me that it is going to likely outpace Bitcoin here. Really, any sort of pullbacks, if it does happen below 3,700 towards 36, probably going to be a long-term opportunities as well. You know, again, long-term opportunities, not daily opportunities, not 5-minute opportunities, but long-term, probably into end of year is what I'm thinking. Anyways, last thing, we'll go over some daily statistics. I always love going over this. Again, we're getting prepared to actually list this, which I'm really excited about, because this is the stuff that I really, really love. Statistics, hard fucking statistics. Give me those hard statistics, baby, those hard numbers. And we can see that Sunday is... it's a little bit more volatile than Saturday. Saturday is certainly the most quiet day for Bitcoin, but Sunday is a close second, as you would guess. Weekend time for a market that is, you know, slowly moving into traditional land, and this has actually been consistent for a long time. But Sunday, technically speaking, or probabilistically speaking, more likely to close positively than negatively. We do see that out of all Sundays measured specifically from the beginning of 2024. There has been 57% of those, a little bit more, closing positively from open to closure. On those positive closing days, it has played out an average move, an average return of 182, 1% spot 82. That is what I mean. And on the losing Sundays, lost an average of about 0.75%. So let's come up with a range right here. This has been really useful this past couple of weeks. And from the open, if we were to add 182, that would put Bitcoin basically right around 69,000 bucks. If we were to shave off 75%, basically, or sorry, not 75%, but 0.75%, that'd put Bitcoin kind of close to a little bit lower than yesterday's low, 67,250 or so. Probably the range for today. Probably don't see any major breakout or breakdown today. We probably see more sideways. I mean, shit. I saw Trader Main on what's it called, Twitter, post the 5-minute chart, and this is beginning from Friday. It's literally been a dead heartbeat. He's 100% right. It's hilariously fucking boring, but I'm gonna stay up for another 5 minutes because I need to just see one more closure. This is gonna be it. It's gonna go to the moon on this exact one, maybe, but again, you know, if we put this on line chart, it's probably even worse. Yeah. There's some perspective for you. Go outside, touch some grass, touch some ass, and it's all good. We got more celebrities coming into cryptocurrency. That's a really good sign as well, right? It's worked out well in the past, right? My favorite one is Caitlyn Jenner. I've seen her naked. Yuck. But she's the one who did it, not me. I just looked. Anyways, does that make me gay? That's the real question for today. Let me know in the comment section below. It was interesting. But yeah, we'll leave things right there. Okay. Yeah. Let me just make sure that I hit all the points in my notes right here. Yes, indeed. We're good to go. I'll be signing off on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care. Much love. And see you hopefully soon.